What's going on, guys? So welcome to another video, and today's video is going to be on how I carb swap my car. It's probably not going to be that long of a video, but it's going to be, a little informational video about what I had to do to, of course, carb swap my car. First things first is you're going to want to get, buy all your stuff. I got it all wrote down right here. I'll just read it out to you, but the first thing, the stuff I bought was a intake, a carb, a fuel line, fuel pressure regulator. Had to buy some wire. I bought a distributor, which is a Hei distributor. You can get them for like 80 bucks. And I bought some valve covers and all the gaskets and seals. And then I bought a universal throttle cable. And I'll tell you why once we get outside. But the intake I bought was a Edelbrock Performer RPM. And it's dual plane, good for street. More torque, more low end torque. It kind of loses a little bit over the open plane intake as far as in the high RPM range. You might lose 5 horsepower or so, but I got it just for streetability. I got the Demon 650 Cfm Carb. It's a double pumper mechanical carb. It's 650 Cfm, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's been a good carb. I got the fuel line because what I had to do is you can use the factory fuel line as far as from the fuel pump to the engine bay, but from the engine bay you have to come off the pressure line side to the regulator and then to the carb. I'll show you in a minute. It'll be easier if I show you. And that's pretty much all I had to buy. So it's not that much stuff to buy. It kind of gets expensive because the carb, depending on what you want, can be around $500 to $800. You can get cheaper ones like Edelbrocks and stuff, but I'm more of a Demon, Holly kind of guy, and they cost a little bit more, a little bit better on performance, but that's what I like. So without further ado, let's get outside. Alright guys, what's up? So we're outside now and kind of get more in detail on how I carb swap my car. Okay, so we'll start out with the main things. Of course, buy a carburetor, really whatever you want for whatever setup you got. Get an intake. I got the Edelbrock Performer RPM like I mentioned. Of course, you're going to have some fuel line, some fuel injection line. And what I done is I kept my factory fuel injection system that's at the back, like this factory fuel lines at the back, same fuel pump and everything. I just ran off of the pressure line right here from the pressure line to the regulator, and the regulator is running 8 pounds to the carb, and that's what I recommend. Any 7-8 pounds to the carb, and this one is adjustable for like 7 to 9 pounds. And I hooked up my return line, so that way, because it runs like 40 pounds to the regulator, and every once in a while it would burp when I didn't have this hooked up. And since I've hooked it up, and it doesn't burp anymore, bubble up in this little filter right here, and it's been doing good. Okay, so another thing I had to do was run a power wire off the switch to the distributor, which is right here, and a tack switch or a tack wire to the gauge cluster. And I just found the gauge cluster, the tack signal wire, which I found it on Google. That's how I found it, which wire it was, and hooked it up, and so my tack works. And I bought this Hei distributor at a car show in Tennessee at the Shades of the Past show for like 85 bucks. It's just a regular Hei distributor. It has the coil built in the top right here. That's what that piece is right there. You can actually change it. And of course a breather. I bought some valve covers just because I like the way this looks better than the factory valve covers. I had to run a power wire off the switch to my alternator here, to this green wire. It's a little small green, and it's just an all green wire, and that's because whenever I took the harness off, the regular factory harness off the engine, it wouldn't charge. It wasn't giving any power to the alternator for it to charge. So all I did, ran a power wire off the switch through the factory loom and back to the power source and with the switch, and it's fine. It charges perfectly normal. I use my factory temp gauge. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's right there. That's the factory wire for it. The factory wire for the oil pressure gauge is right here, down there at the oil sending unit. Another thing I had to do, which I mentioned, was run a throttle cable. And this is a aftermarket throttle cable, just universal fit, and it has a bunch of different fittings inside the kit whenever you buy it, and you just cut it to length, whichever length you need, you know, whatever you want, and it hooks down to the pedal in the factory position. Has the little ball style fitting on the end of the cable, which snaps into the gas pedal just like factory OEM style. And the only other thing I had to do was I had to run a power wire to the fuel pump off the switch, which I run it off the switch under the dash where I did the rest of it, and I soldered it together, you know, made sure everything was hooked up good, ran it all the way back to the tank under here, and you can't see it, but I run my wire. You can actually see the wire. I want to get that hidden better, but it's been working fine for the past year. So I run that to the fuel pump off the switch, so it has power. And because something in the factory distributor setup, the factory where how it fires is how the fuel pump actually fires it, instead of working through just power to it off computer, because I had the factory harness on it and it just wasn't sending any power. It would prime it, but it wouldn't run, like, because whenever the car's running and that factory distributor is firing, that is what sends signal, if I'm not mistaken, to the fuel pump to, you know, fire the fuel pump, pulsate it. But if I'm wrong, let me know. That's just kind of what I've come up with, kind of what I thought happened. And I think that's really it, guys. I mean, buy your carburetor, buy your intake, distributor, and all the other main things I mentioned, and it's pretty simple. I mean, it only took me a weekend to do it, and I really wasn't hustling on it. I probably could have done it in a day, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple. If you have any questions, you know, just shoot me a comment or something. Of course, if you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And like I said, guys, until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you.